Welcome to the Misophonia podcast. This is episode 231. My name is Adil Ahmad, and I have Misophonia. This week, I speak with Nimrod, a CBT therapist and social worker based in Tel Aviv, Israel, who's been working with people with misophonia for the past several years. We discuss his clinical approach, the role of CBT, how stress and related conditions can influence misophonia, and the importance of involving families and building awareness as research in the field continues to evolve. After the show, let me know what you think. You can reach out to me by email at hello@misophoniapodcast.com or hit me up on Instagram or Facebook at Misophonia Podcast. By the way, please do head over and leave a quick rating wherever you listen to the show. It really helps drive us up in the algorithms. And if you want to come on the podcast, just go to misophoniapodcast.com and click the Be a Guest link. And by the way, the Misophonia Podcast app is available at in the iOS app stores and on Google Play. All right, now, here's my conversation with Nimrod. Nimrod, welcome to the podcast. Great to have you here.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here too.
Yeah. So, do you want to tell us, I'd like to start off with kind of like, roughly where you're located and then kind of a little bit about what you do.
Okay, so I'm based in Tel Aviv in Israel. I'm working as a CBT therapist, but I'm actually a social worker in my profession.
Yeah.
I'm working with the Misophonia for about 3-4 years now.
Yeah.
Since I met Dr. Jane Gregory.
Okay. Yep.
In a CBT convention, and it was just fascinating and very interesting to see the work that she've done. It was very interesting, so I tried it here in Israel, and it was very meaningful for the people that learned it, and it was amazing. So
great. Okay. Yeah, we have that connection with Dr. Gregory. That's awesome. I guess so. You don't have misophonia yourself, right? But you treat a lot of people with misophonia. Is that what I'm hearing?
Myself, I suffer from tinnitus, which is not the same, but I can relate for that problem about being more stressful, and then the sound can be more effective,
distressing if you're stressed
more
out.
Stressful, more distressful, and so I can relate to the idea that I shouldn't try to make myself calmer, and I need to focus on a different strategies for that.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So to back up a little bit, it sounds like you were a therapist for a while, and then it was really only about 3 or 4 years ago that is that when you had maybe your first patient, or you started to see an uptick in the number of people coming in with misophonia symptoms?
A few years ago, on that convention that I met Dr. Gregory, she had a very specific workshop about misophonia, obviously. And it was something that really enlightened me that there is a way to help people living with misophonia, because I met patients that had this, and I tried to help them in different ways. But I yet to see a serious protocol, CBT protocol that maybe can help. So it was something that really was amazing to see. And when I got back to Israel, it was actually June, same as now, almost.
Mm-hmm.
And I got back to Israel, and I tried to help one patient that had misophonia with that method. I'm not sure if everybody knows it. So part of the method is to use something that is very controversial. When I see the all the different possibilities that people talk about. So that possibility of using audio recording and video recording, as Jane suggested, it's controversial. Sorry. So
You're right.
the idea that she suggested is to use the audio recording, very specific sounds, not very stressful. And also, the other component that was very nice is to use a video of a cute animal that allegedly made that sound. And the thing that I was thinking about that, okay, maybe it will help people feel less stressful because there is a cute animal. But the patient that I tried it with, the first one and then the other one, the others, they actually said that it's not about the animal. Yeah, sometimes some of them can imagine an animal, a cute animal in front of them when they feel stressed. Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
okay. But it was something that really helped them just to shift focus from the idea that they should do something about the noise, and then they can just keep doing what they learned in the in the practice, in the strategy for relaxation, muscle relaxation, of course, not the stress. Stress is still there,
Right. Right.
and focus for whatever they hear. It can be the stressful stimuli or other things that are there, that are just normal things. And of course, if they see something, so it can be the cute animal, but probably the animal won't be there in the real life. So
Right.
they just look at the other things that they see, and it helps them to stay there and to feel more at control, even though they
Yeah.
cannot control it.
Yeah, it sounds like it's about kind of restructuring the association of what the brain perceives is the source of the sound, and making the brain think that, or understand that it's, or try to make the brain associate with something that's not non-threatening. Because I think a lot of the source of the fight or flight is, something in your mind is associating danger to to the sound. So if you can try to replace it with a cute animal, or like you said, yeah, something in the environment which is which has been which your brain has realizes is completely non-threatening, that can calm you down, and it sounds like maybe give your brain that space to kind of like do the relaxation, like further techniques. I guess is that kind of how you, is that part of the protocol?
I can guess other researches that I read about this type of problems with the stimuli of sight or hearing. So they say the same thing as Jane said. You shouldn't do it very strictly and aggressively. Get your patient to be on the same spot that is having this issue and this problem. Try to do it in different ways, as she suggested, as cute animals video, or
Yeah.
this almost harmful audio recording, because sometimes it can be boring. It's cool,
Right.
and then
Right.
they can learn to stay focused strictly on the information from that sense. It can be hearing
Yeah.
or sight.
Yeah.
And once they see as much as information as possible from that sense, which is the opposite of the common sense, because they want to avoid, people want to avoid
Right.
whatever is stressful. So when
Right.
they can be mindful to that, so it can really help them stay there and just have this uh, somewhat of a diversions. They can look
Yeah.
that direction, but they stay at the spot. And of
Right.
course, when I help people, I really stress that we are never doing it in one jump to the pool. Sorry for the uh, rough
Oh yeah.
uh, sentence, but phrase. So it's step by step. We can start choosing something easier and then go to the other thing, and helps them really do it very easy in that sense.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, and you're right. I think the controversial aspect of it that you alluded to is the and I'm I used to think this as well. Like any exposure to sound is like exposure therapy, so it's automatically bad. But it's not quite binary. I think there is a uh there you we should I mean we can and should be using these sounds in a we can and should be using these sounds in a way that kind of helps to reassociate or get people to or get minds to understand that these sounds are not threats, and you have to do it with sounds. there And
yeah,
so I think
I
I
agree.
think we need to reevaluate what's controversial. I think controversial is because I think there are therapists that basically want to shut you into a room to kind of habituate you, but this is not about
Yeah,
habituation. This is something a little bit more down at the neurological level. So
yeah, I agree.
interesting. And so yeah, I mean, and I like to jump around in these conversations, but I think you're the first person from Israel. I always ask, like, in certain countries, like, what's the awareness of misophonia, and do you have any kind of sense of like how how many people rough? Like, I don't know about numbers, but just kind of like what is the awareness of misophonia in Israel?
So it's a great question. I think that there is uh, a few researchers in Tel Aviv University about
Mm,
misophonia. I'm not sure about the prevalence, about how many people has
yeah,
misophonia. And I don't think they have the numbers yet because it's really fresh. But I know that awareness-wise, not many people know about misophonia. I don't know. I think it's the same. You can tell me. But usually the people that look me up in the internet and in the US for therapy, it can be teenagers and the kids themselves, not the
yeah,
parents. So it's really people really don't know about it so much.
yeah. Yeah, and the younger kids are. I'm just assuming that they're reading about it or learning about it online or on social media and
Yes.
identifying with the symptoms. Um, and and then I also like to ask. I mean, Israel's an advanced country, but like mental health in general, I'm assuming it's probably um, there's no there's about a same amount of stigma as anywhere else, or it's pretty well understood or well it's not that hard to find a therapist as opposed to some other countries I've talked to like Eastern Europe for example or
So,
Russia.
so I can tell you, it's only my opinion. Maybe
Yeah,
I'm mistaken, but as the person that lives in Israel and work in the mental health system privately and also as a social worker, I can tell you that in some aspects, uh, many of the therapists in Israel are not well trained, so not very
mm.
far away from Russia and so on.
Okay.
Some of them
Okay.
are
Yeah,
highly trained. It depends
yeah,
which population is getting the therapy from.
yeah,
Um, for example, PTSD, unfortunately, the therapists, psychotherapists are much well trained than other
yeah.
aspects. For example, misophonia, I'm, I think I'm the only one in Tel Aviv. Let's see.
Really? Okay.
Thank
So
you.
this is actually a good question because, yeah, especially I'm sure people might be listening to the podcast from Israel. What should people, in terms of like credentials or expertise, what should people look for in Israel if they're looking for someone to work with them about misophonia and then mental health in general? Sounds like you have some opinions.
What was the second question?
Oh, misophonia, but also maybe uh, mental health in general. I'm not sure how people are, if there's licensing or what should
Yes.
people look out for when if they're looking to get help.
So it's a great question because in Israel you have different ways to get help. You can go, of course, for a private practice to pay as much as you can, and it doesn't mean that you'll get the best therapy. So
Yeah.
about the private practice, people should look for a licensed, I hope, CBT therapy. Because the other therapies are great, but I'm not sure it's good for misophonia.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you go for if you try to get help from public clinics,
Yeah.
which it can be also great. It will be a different method probably. In Israel, people can get sometimes help from the government.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's still the situation. So misophonia, it's not something that has actually the the code for the computer for the government
R-
to exist. So
right.
people
Right.
need to ask, as much as I understand, they need to ask from their doctor, from the psychiatrist or a neurologist, to write in the letter for the government something that
Mm.
exists as anxiety or something like that
Yeah.
they're really suffering from, and then they can get therapy that the government can give them. But I'm not sure it will be focused on misophonia, but it can help
Right.
in other things.
Yeah. I think that's the same case around here because yeah, there is no billing code, and so audiologists get in on it, and yeah, there's other ways to kind of work that system. Um, and yeah, and so you mentioned you have tinnitus. Are you uh yeah, I guess there's tinnitus, there's hyperacusis. Are you well? Tinnitus is probably treated by an audiologist, but I mean, are you? What do you think about? Because a lot of people ask, like, is this the same thing? Are they related? Even sometimes people ask about autism. I'm kind of curious what you think about those. Do you ask about those other comorbidities when you get a patient?
About tinnitus, I'm very curious to know if people with misophonia has it, because it's something that sometimes can be a consequence of using the volume of the headset too much. You
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it can be a consequence of that, and it's something that it's very tricky because tinnitus can be present right now, and then it can go off and then come back. So
Yeah.
people can forget about it. So if I ask,
Right.
sometimes they, oh yeah, I had it. So I had,
Right.
in this era, I used AI actually, and
Mm-hmm.
I made some kind of a software in a web page,
Yeah.
and then I really uh, I can actually put a record of a frequency
Mm-hmm.
which I can move around and ask them if they hear this frequency and that frequency, and then I can really check if they have tinnitus, even if
Oh
they
wow.
don't realize what I'm asking about. So I really show them. So it's nice.
Interesting. So you use the AI program that moves sound around the 3D stage. If they're hearing if they're on headphones to kind of out to move the sound
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Usually people hear the tinnitus in one ear, not in both.
Yeah.
And it can
Gotcha.
be a few frequencies. It can be a low frequency, high frequency. Sometimes it can be a frequency of like a wind, blow of a wind.
Oh yes. Yes.
And
Okay.
they don't really realize that all of it is tinnitus, and then when they
Yeah.
can hear it with me, they can
Right.
put the uh, mark on it. So it's nice.
Gotcha. Interesting.
I
Okay.
want to tell also, you asked about the differences in
Yeah.
tinnitus,
Yeah.
then it's sometimes a problem because it comes just because I'm stressful, as I said, and if it
Yeah.
happens when I'm trying to sleep at night, I'm even more
Right.
stressed, and it can be
Right.
very difficult, very hard to treat because
Yeah.
you cannot tell people that are stressed be calm. It's not working.
Right. 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 Do you so yeah when you get people when you get people in about misophonia, do you how much do you maybe get into their backgrounds, like their living situation, their work, their stress, their background, their childhood, for example? I'm kind of curious how much of the full context of the person that informs the protocol, if at all.
It's a great question. So it's very charming for me to stay focused just on the problem,
Mm-hmm.
talk about misophonia, ask about misophonia, maybe about the parents and brothers and sisters'
Right.
responses, and that's it. It's
Right.
very easy for me as a therapist.
Right.
I will get a grade, for that.
Right.
But it's not my job. My job, as you suggested, is to know the real life of the person without the problem, because we want to make his whole life better, not just
Yeah.
remove maybe the disturbance of the misophonia. So it means that at least one or two sessions, besides from talking about the problem, I'm trying to get to know the person, his character, his hobbies.
Yeah.
And I like this kind of question because sometimes when I want to teach people how to use their hearing sense better, so they can do it with happy stuff like they play guitar or piano, and they
Mm-hmm.
learn to relate to their uh, hearing sense from a nice place, not the bad problem. So it's nice.
Yeah,
Um,
no, that's interesting. And yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just
yeah,
inserting my own editorialization here. But I feel like, yeah, that kind of reconnection with your senses is important, because I feel like we, especially looking at screens and the way we go about our lives, there's so many there's so much intermediation between ourselves and our senses. We don't have time to do things like the making music or things like that, and I feel like um, that changes the cognitive relationship we have with sound and makes it less of a danger in our head. So I feel like it's very qualitative, but I feel like that has well, I feel like that has to be part of the solution. And I'm glad to hear that you're looking at the whole person, because I think it is a multi-pronged approach.
yeah, definitely. I agree. And,
And do you pull in the family members? It sounds like you have a lot of children who come in. Do you pull in the family members and educate them, or maybe find out if there's something going on with them that may be, I don't know, cascading into issues with the younger person?
yeah, I think it's very important to educate also the parents or other members of the family. Sometimes
Yeah,
it can be just for one session to meet them, to unstigmatize the issue,
yeah,
to be able to practice together something, or to watch a short annoying fly video, uh,
yeah,
and then everybody is getting on the same page, and they understand, the memory members understand that it's not very easy to just stay there and not to be disturbed. So it's very
right.
important. I also keep giving a letter um, uh, to the loved ones to uh, spouses, or if it's a girlfriend or a boyfriend that are really serious. So I'm giving a letter that explains about it, and then ask them to join us for that session, so they know
Oh,
what they should do, what they shouldn't do after that session.
right,
And actually, it's very, very helpful. It's a very meaningful moment in the therapy, that the
right,
person that was alone and was maybe accused or
right,
judged, now he sees that it's not him by himself, but everybody is part of the solution.
right, right. That's interesting because yeah, I feel like obviously as we know, it's the immediate surroundings that are often the triggers, and then it can cause all kinds of resentment and defensiveness, um, and that just adds on to the fighter, like the perceived threat that the person has. So that's great. I think bringing those people in, if they are able to kind of like calm the situation, or not react aggressively, or just be compassionate, that just reduces the threat level in the person who has misophonia. um and then along with your protocol and connecting with your hobbies and senses, I feel like this is, I don't know, this must be a great, hopefully great outcomes for the patients that you have. So are you you know are you following up with people like a year later, or do you kind of like put them
Is
on their way and hope for the best?
So usually I try not to interrupt people after they
Yeah.
finish therapy, but I really stress for each one that I will contact them for another um maybe a small talk, but more for another a questionnaire.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
it's really important to measure, objectively, if the
Hmm.
problem it's the same as we finished, or something
Right.
came up. And also,
Right.
when we finish therapy, in each therapy, it's something very common. We talk about the routine, that how can we keep our legs on, our foot on the gas, and enjoy
Right.
life. But also,
Right.
there are sometimes crisis, maybe a war, unfortunately, or
Hmm.
maybe personal issues, that people can
Yeah.
get more stressed. And when there is more stress, of course, misophonia is higher.
Yes. Yes.
And then it's also something that's very important for me, to reach out and to see that they can practice without me. I just remind them, and then they can live their life, of course, with more practice on that week or two, but
Yeah.
it won't get worse. So it's very important. I want also to talk about another issue that sometimes
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
Um, so sometimes, especially in teenagers, you can see that they have somewhat of obsessive or compulsive behaviors. Of course, it's not OCD. It's not the same treatment. It's not the same problem, but it can be, for example, when a child feels stressed, and then they hurt themselves. Okay, it's a
Mm.
compulsory. They don't want to feel this pain, but it's a compulsion.
Right.
Uh, and I want to tell anyone that hear me now, and so just for it's normal, it's okay, and it's really something that goes away when you can talk about it, and you can do other strategies, basically, which doesn't
Mm.
involve in pain. And other things that maybe family members can relate to are some obsessive rules that the person try to live for.
Okay.
So I
Yes.
can decide where everybody's sitting next to the table, or in
Right.
the right car ride, for example, which is okay. It's very okay to talk about things. It's not a bad thing.
Mm.
But the issue is, once you have a rule which is not something that helps, you need to change the rule. It's very
Mm-hmm.
important not to keep
Yeah.
adding more rules on the rules, and it doesn't help. So it's okay to have rules and these
Right.
strategies, but it should be something that you and your family members, if you're a child, of course, you really focus and see if it helps and think about it before you do it.
Yeah.
It's a nice game, actually.
Yeah. No, that's those are very excellent points because you're right. I think a lot of rules get I don't know passed down or they're unnecessarily rigid. I think maybe misophonia is an opportunity to kind of like make sure we have perspective on rules, know where we should be flexible, where we uh, you know shouldn't be, and yeah, and I think knowing some rules are changeable is yet another thing that could signal to the brain that I'm in a safe environment where there's open communication, there's flexibility, uh, and so I think related to stress. Your and correct me if I'm wrong, but and then you said you were talking about so the compulsion issue. You're talking about compulsion to inflict pain on oneself. Is that what
Yeah,
you're referring to? Yeah.
some
Is there a clinical
teenagers,
name for that?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just it can be a BFRB.
Okay.
Behaviors that are directed to the body, and it's a repetitive thing.
Oh. Okay.
But it's something it doesn't happen all the time. But people, teenagers, they really tend to keep it to themselves. So this is the way to handle the stress, basically.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Right. 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 Yeah. No, that's interesting. Yeah. It's I always shudder to say the word maladaptive, but yeah, it's a that I don't want to say natural, but it's the way, like you said, it's the way for the body to handle stress. And I sometimes think about whether misophonia in some way is your body reacting the way we it was evolved to react, to kind of seek out danger, but maybe it's been kind of like misconnected to something that is not actually danger. Sometimes I feel like to the point earlier about sensory intermediation, we have a lot of new things that stimulate our senses, and I
Yeah.
don't think we've necessarily kind of like our brains are maybe not caught up to what's to always correctly identify what is a danger and what is not. And so sometimes if something happened in childhood, or there's something, I don't know, there's an environment where there's the wrong rules. Well, if there's a sound around there, then maybe our brain associates danger with that as a way to signal that maybe something needs to change. Um,
I really love what you said. I always love to tell to the children or adults that are coming for therapy and they are very stressful and they don't know if it will help. So I'm just telling them, listen, I don't have a time machine. I really don't know what will happen in the future. I know
yeah,
that we can help you with the problem, that it will be more easy to manage. It won't go away. If in the future some aliens will come and they will have this spaceship that will do horrible noise, so I'm not going to call you back to therapy. It's not my will, but I want you to
yeah,
be ready with this really strong internal sense that you will feel that you can manage it with the same thing that you learn about the current thing that disturbing you. So I agree.
yeah,
We don't know why, but we can manage somehow to do better.
yeah. No, that's interesting. Yeah, I think it's the first time on the podcast somebody's mentioned aliens coming back to trigger people's misophonia. That sounds like a book that needs to be written. No, very interesting. So as you've been following up with people, are the questionnaires you give them something that you've come up with? Is there like a standard way to follow up with people?
So there were two questionnaires that I used. The first
Mm-hmm.
one, I'm not really sure which one. I can check if it's important. It was a
Yeah,
standard
that's fine.
questionnaire, of course.
Yeah.
And then I encountered with the new one, also standardized one. Uh, of course, validated, and it was better. I was
Yeah.
thinking myself it was better, and then I checked it, of course, with patients, and they said, yeah, this one is it's more suit to my problem. So I'm using the new
Okay.
one.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. And yeah, I mean, so you went to that the conference where you met Jane a while back. Are you in communication with researchers now or other therapists? And yeah, I'm kind of curious, kind of like how you're keeping up with what's happening, because a lot at least, yeah, a lot in terms of research and in the press is moving, seems like fairly quickly.
Yeah, it's really fascinating to see this growing field in psychology and I guess in other fields, but I'm in the psychology field.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm currently trying to be in contact with anybody I can.
Mm-hmm.
I myself trying to start um, also some researchers about the autism spectrum, including
Yeah.
misophonia. And of course, it will be PTSD related because of the situation in Israel. This is the place I can
Right.
have my research. So
Right.
I think it will be very interesting because we said we know that the stress, the higher is the stress, is the higher it
Uh,
can be the misophonia. So I hope I will manage to learn something that will aid also other people.
yeah.
And I want to say also something about, on top of it, I'm young, I'm 36 years old,
Mm-hmm.
but
You're 36. Oh yeah, you're young. You're young. I'm
yes,
almost 50.
and some while ago, about something like the 90s in Israel, when
Yeah.
people had common problems today, but back then, when people had anxiety or depression, it was very
Right.
stigmatized. People were being labeled as lazy and so on. Today,
Uh-huh.
no
Uh-huh.
one will think
Mm-hmm.
about it, but back then it was like that. And I think I got really inspired by your podcast in
Mm-hmm.
and of course other researchers and other things. And
Yeah.
it looks for me that in the future, I don't know when, it can be something that we will look upon, and it will be something that people, they have respect for it. They know that people need their quiet place and
Right.
not being
And it's
stigmatized.
normal.
Yeah, of
Right. Right.
course.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And that's kind of the reason to do the podcast, is just kind of like keep rolling out stories that get into the person's, like you do with your patients, like get into the entire person and the system around them, and make people realize that it's a normal part of many people's lives. Normal as in it's something that it's experienced, not that it's something that we want. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, no, that's great. No, I'd love to. I mean, I'd love to support anything that helps you create, if you if you wanted to, and then it helps kind of create a community in Israel. I don't think I've had anyone else from Israel on. No, that's great. Yeah, maybe when those aliens come down, by then whole world will be ready to kind of like take them on in the name of Misophonia. So really interesting. Yeah, something I don't know. Yeah, I haven't fully fledged these thoughts, but yeah, I mean, it's very, yeah. You're definitely in a unique spot with obviously the PTSD kind of issue. Something I've thought about over the last 5 years is, my whole thinking about misophonia has kind of like evolved. First, I was like, it's got to be some hardwired thing, and one day we'll get a pill or something. But then as everyone comes on in the podcast and I hear about all these childhood events and adverse childhood situations, I got very interested in it must be PTSD or ish related, but it's not always the case. However, that now I'm kind of in the case where it's possibly because, as I alluded to earlier, our modern lives have kind of made our relationship with our senses and our ability to like know what's actual distress and what's friction, what's danger and what's not, kind of like complicate things for our minds. Um, but but in terms of PTSD, I mean, there are a lot of there are a lot of people, unfortunately, now and in the past have been in, I mean, the earthquakes or wars,
Yeah.
deep, tragic PTSD situations. But I'm curious, like, sometimes there is a resilience where there isn't a lot of mental health. Like, there's a critical theorist, Captain Liu, who wrote about how sometimes when Western scientists go to war regions, they introduce diagnoses which then suddenly become common in environments where there was a tragedy, and it's almost like, not to make it too political, but like the West is kind of like exporting diagnoses into places where they may have had more the ability to be more resilient. I'm curious if I don't know if that's something you've ever thought about, or I'm curious to see how that would apply to misophonia and PTSD.
I want to
There's a bunch
suggest
of messy
something.
thoughts that, like I said,
Yeah.
we're not very
Hey,
well
it
formed,
makes
but I
sense.
think
Makes
there's
sense.
something.
People are less aware about their problem. Once you ask them questions, so they keep
Yeah.
searching these answers afterwards, and yeah, it makes it more disturbing. Maybe I think that misophonia, it's not something that people can get get from the people being asked about. So
Yep.
it really is an issue. In PTSD, it's really political. Political in the meaning of money. If people get recognition of PTSD in many states, or maybe not government, maybe private insurance,
Mm-hmm.
they get money.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a political
Right.
thing. It's money.
Yeah.
But I want to stress out that if you look at the real issue, if the government or the, sorry for getting this social work aspect,
Yeah.
but
No, that's good. Please.
if government or private practice that are insurance wise, so if they will do the best practice that possible by this diagnosis, so they can really see if the problem exists. Okay.
Yeah.
If people tell me I have misophonia and I try to help them with the protocol, and I'm, as a therapist, are asking questions and trying to suggest them strategies, and then I see, okay, they said it's misophonia, but something else is bothering them. They are not, they are
Mm-hmm.
not being able to do something. So then I can figure out, okay, maybe I got wrong diagnosis. They told me so, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's wrong. Maybe I need
Mm-hmm.
to suggest them something next to it. Phonophobia, for example. It's not
Mm-hmm.
instead of misophonia, but I need to treat phonophobia, for example.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, that's super interesting. Yeah, and actually, for people listening, could you because phonophobia doesn't come up on the podcast that much for some reason, but do you want to like define that a little bit? And then yeah, I'd love to kind of like hear your thoughts on um parallel issues like misokinesia, the whole uh visual triggers, if you
Yes.
see that in your practice.
So about let's start from the end. About
Yeah.
visuals, as research as that suggests, it's part of misophonia. It's not something that
Yeah.
may be happening. Maybe it takes time until it disturbs. As you said,
Right.
if I ask about something, people will
Right.
notice about it. So maybe it
Right.
takes time, because
Right.
the thing that is more getting focused is the hearing.
Right.
But then when I get used to it after a few years, the sight also is part of it. It's enough for me to see it, and then the mind is completing the sound.
Yep.
Everybody, of
It's
course, know it.
predicting. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything new. So this is about the sight. So I think it's really part of misophonia. And about related problems, phonophobia. Phobia, it means that even to think about the situation, to being in a dinner or a movie or something, I only think about it and I get as a panic attack, as a stress and everything. So this is about the phobia thing. And it can be something that, if my honest opinion, of course, it's not something that
This is
I
a
can
place
show
to
in research.
share. Yeah.
Yeah, it happens in misophonia. Yeah, sometimes
Yeah.
when people go to
Okay.
therapy, it exists. And of course,
Gotcha.
phonophobia, it's also a problem that is related to other things. It can happen with tinnitus, of course.
Right.
So I will take a pill because I want to sleep better, and then I will have phobia from being without the pill. Okay, sleeping pill.
Ah.
And
Yeah.
then if I have PTSD, and I can be very triggered from just walking on the street, and then someone
Right.
will honk or a scooter will drive by, and then I
Yeah.
can have this frightening moment. So I can get a phobia from being on the street and getting spooked like that. So it can be
Gotcha.
also a phonophobia, but it's not the same reason, of course. The treatment is
Right.
very different.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I can see how. I mean, yeah, I can see how
I
that's related.
I
And
wanted to
yeah,
add
I
also,
always.
sorry,
Pardon me.
I wanted to add
Please.
also another issue.
Yeah.
You were asking about related problems. So
Yep.
hyperacoustics, it's something that
Yes.
sometimes can be related directly to misophonic triggers. What I
Right.
think, I'm not sure, but I think it can be, for example, when people hear the silverware sound crashing,
Yes.
or two bottles of or glasses, for example, touch each other, and it's something that can sometimes be very hurtful. So it
Yep.
can be something that maybe can be defined in hyperacoustics. So we need to address it, because if it hurts, we are afraid of the pain. Actually, it's not only
Right.
the stress and the anger that just happens.
Right. Yeah. 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 You're right. And hyperacusis, for I'm sure people listening understand. It's like things are turned up. The volume is turned up, and it's probably at a frequency level, like especially high frequencies can be turned up. But it's I've heard, though, it seems like it's hard to distinguish if something is far away is actually far away, because everything just kind of seems loud. Um, yeah, but to your point about visual triggers, yeah, I totally agree. Like, they tend to come later, and I feel like it's just another layer of your mind predicting what could be a dangerous situation. And I agree. Like, I've said this many times on the podcast, and now there is starting to be some research kind of going in this direction, trying to look at misophonia as not the main, not what we should be calling it, or not the whole story. And I agree. Yeah, in a few years, I think when those aliens come down, by then we'll probably have a new name which encompasses more of a sensory, higher level sensory issue.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
cool. Well, yeah. Sorry, go on. Yeah.
I just wanted to address it. So another thing that I really like about misophonia, that
Yeah.
it's pure research, science, curiosity at their best, because it was something that I won't say I won't say the name, but it was named differently in '99, and then it was named differently a few years afterwards, and it will be
Mm-hmm.
continuing to change, because we need to define what is the problem, how to solve it.
Right.
I
Right.
really like this issue. It's really
Yes.
not a close thing, not deal done, done deal. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no, you're right. I was around when it was the previous name. I don't know if you have a reason for not mentioning it, but I can mention at least one of the names that I'd heard of. But it was yeah, I think it was like selective sound sensitivity syndrome. Was one of there may have been more,
The
but
reason I didn't say the
yeah.
name is because it can be a triggering sound. This is why.
Oh, okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes,
Oh, yeah, good point. That's a lot of
yes,
yes, right. There's a lot of sounds.
yes.
um, good catch. No, super interesting. Well, yeah, no, I love what you said about, and that's I think why I'm still kind of like my thinking is evolving, and why I like to think about misophonia is because it does involve all the things you said: curiosity, science, psychology. But for me now, it's also involving like philosophy, critical theory, literature. I'm reading Marcel Proust, and it's very much about experiences of the senses. And so, yeah, it's just a fascinating um, doorway into a lot of interesting things about the human experience. Um, so, yeah, thanks for mentioning that. I mean, we're getting close to about an hour. It's flown by. Last time I looked, it was like 23 minutes in, and now we're like, more than twice that. But this has been a super fascinating conversation. Is there anything else you want to share, or I don't know, links or calls to action that you want to share for people in Israel or around the world?
So I want to try to help as many people as I can. If anyone that are interested, that are hearing us right now, would like to use any of the audio recordings or the videos of the cute animals that are related to, if anybody want to use it, I really offer a sincere help. Or if researchers want to check it or anything, okay.
Yeah.
I always tell to my patient that this protocol, it's nice. There were some cases that were looked and it was nice, but it's not a really serious research yet. It's not
Mm-hmm.
enough years. So any
Right.
researchers or people that want to try it for themselves and to see how it goes, and I really would love to, anything is online today, so it's really easy.
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting. I have no idea what the legality of this or the ethics of this would be, because the Misophonia podcast app that I have has, obviously has all the episodes, but it has a bunch of resources, but it also has a place for tools like relaxation, like sound tools. But then also there is I think it was actually an Israeli team that had come up with a kind of a digital app kind of way to go through a fixed set of sessions in a digital tool. And actually, inspired by that paper, I incorporated it into the app. So I'm wondering if in the app I could, have the audio and the
Of
video from
course.
from what you're talking about, and just kind of like, obviously I won't like, it's not going to be like, I can't call it like therapy, but maybe there's a way to kind of get feedback from people and
Yeah,
just have
I
that
think
as a
it will be
distribution
great.
method. So yeah.
Of course, people that are trying to do self implicant therapy, so it's not the same. But
Right,
some
right.
some levels of misophonia, it's possible to just
Yeah,
read a book, practice, or
yeah,
online. Of course, it can be helpful.
yeah, yeah. And I think it like it demystifies what happens in a session, because I think to this day a lot of people still don't understand what, if they go to Nimrod, what are you going to do? And so I think this kind of helps to remove the veil a little bit.
Yeah,
So
I think you are right. People that are talking with me, sometimes they hear this is the therapy. I will need to listen to
right,
audios. So it's
right,
very
right.
stressful, and
Yeah,
I think that
yeah,
it's very easy to try it and to see.
yeah,
Of course, I really hope that people will go to a therapist in their country and their language, and of course, and
yeah.
it's very easy, and everybody that would like could use it. Okay,
Right,
it can be very very helpful.
right, right. Cool. Well, yeah, Nimrod, this has been a fascinating conversation. And I'm grateful for what I'm sure people in Israel are grateful that they have, now start to have a therapist that they can go to for help about misophonia, and hopefully a community forms around that. But I wish you the best, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for having me. It was fascinating.
Thanks again, Nimrod. I'd love to do anything I can to help raise awareness in Israel, and I'd love to work together on trying to get some of your data sets on the Misophonia podcast app. If you like this episode, don't forget to leave a quick review or just hit the 5 stars wherever you listen to this podcast. You can hit me up by email at hello@misophoniapodcast.com, or go to the website at misophoniapodcast.com. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook at Misophonia Podcast. The music, as always, is by Moby. And until next week, wishing you peace and quiet.